Everyone, you should have seen a notification on the front of your letting you know that the recording has started. I know you heard this announcement just a moment ago, but we will make it one more time so it is included on the recording. This meeting is being recorded. The recording is available on our website, www.jeffriespoint.org. Although that is the only place it is visible, it is hosted on YouTube. If you do not wish to have your name, voice, or image included on the recording, that is certainly your discretion. Simply change your name as it appears, keep yourself on mute, and keep your camera off. We have no issues with that. I'm going to introduce myself and the other board members. My name is Margaret Farmer, and I'm co-chair of the Jeffries Point Neighborhood Association. Susan?
Hi, I'm Susan Huang. I'm the other co-chair. I'll be doing slides and the notes tonight. Carolina?
Hi there, I'm Carolina Chorvath. I am vice chair and I will be doing the chat today. I know we have lots of people. I'm here to hear all of you, but please be patient, and I'm just going to do my very best to make sure that I am getting everybody's voice heard. Thank you.
Not present this evening is Josh Smith. He may be able to join us a little later. He had an emergency at work. And you may have noticed, normally we are a board of 5. Recently, Andrew Pike, who had been a board member for several years, unfortunately stepped down. I would like this announcement to officially mark the second of a 3-month process to fill the seat. Starting this evening, we are accepting nominations for the open seat. Brandon, thank you, Brandon. We are accepting nominations for the open seat. Please feel free to email us at board@jeffriespoint.org if you would like to nominate yourself or someone else. Terms are traditionally 2 years. Although it is the treasurer seat that is currently open, technically you are coming to the board, and then the board would have a discussion about what seat would be the best match for you. Again, the nominations are currently open. If anybody's interested, you can either nominate at board@jeffriespoint.org or ask questions. We're happy to discuss. The vote for the open seat will be next month in February. And because you are here, you are all eligible. We will honor Andrew Pike this evening. He's having a little trouble getting in. So we will wait until we get to the end of the announcements. Some quick announcements this evening. As an FYI, the state of the JPNA was originally moved to February, as the agenda for this month was originally very full. However, now February is very full. The presentation for 112 Marginal Street and subsequent vote have been moved to February, as has 200 Everett Street has also been moved to February. That would be a presentation by both the developer and the abutter, with a vote to follow in the following days. We hope that you'll join us and continue to be involved. It is wonderful to see everyone this evening, but we'd like you to stay and be active. Another quick announcement is that the JPNA is going to be doing the Easter egg hunt again in Pierce Park. It is scheduled this year for Saturday, March 30th, the day before Easter Sunday in the morning. We will be looking for volunteers to help us out the day of, and then sponsors to provide eggs for the kids. Please contact the JPNA for any more information, or if you would like to volunteer. A quick reminder that Mayor Wu's State of the City address is scheduled for tomorrow evening at the MGM Music Hall in the Fenway, starting at 7 p.m. This will be televised on local television if anyone is interested in watching it. If you are interested in attending, please contact the mayor's office. We have announced about the open seat, and please do keep us in mind if you are here. Has Andrew been able to get in? I'm looking for him now.
Yes, he's in.
Oh, excellent. So Andrew, if we could talk you into having your face be shown, we'd love to be able to see you so we could say thank you. Andrew Pike has been a board member, and in particular a treasurer for several years now. Like, how many years is it?
5.
Really, that many?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, they pass so fast when we're having fun.
Yes.
But we are grateful to you for all of your work. And we have we've provided information to all of our elected officials because we'd like to take a moment to recognize you. I believe they have brought citations with them this evening. let's start by looking for, is anyone from, I think I saw Sebastian from Counselor Coletta's office. Sebastian, if you'd like to kick us off, please do so.
Hello, Sebastian from Counselor Coletta's office. The counselor actually will be joining us really soon. So I just checked in with her again and she'll be joining shortly.
Okay, so we will start with somebody else's office, and if she's able to be here in a few moments, we'd love to have her present to Andrew. We normally do this in person. Unfortunately, that is not available this evening, but we're happy to do it. I thought I saw Glory Bell from Rep Modero's office. Could someone from Rep Modero's office?
Hi, it's Marcella. Adrian is also on his way, so just one second. He wants to present it as well, but he should be here within a few minutes.
Okay, so in that case, I do see that I do see someone from Counselor Edwards' office. Michael, is that you? Trying
Hi,
to see.
hi, this is Ben. Sorry.
Ben. Oh, quite all right. Please go right ahead.
Unfortunately, there was an emergency in Winthrop that occurred over the weekend, and the senator is going to be there tonight. So I'm here on the senator's behalf to present and read off the citation to Andrew. Andrew, this is an official citation for the Massachusetts State Senate signed by Senator Lydia Edwards, by the clerk and by the Senate President Karen Spilka. Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Andrew Pike in recognition of your many years of dedicated service to the Jeffries Point Neighborhood and Association in East Boston. So on behalf of the Senator, Andrew, thank you so much for the work you've done for this community.
Sorry, I'm muted. Thank you. I appreciate it. And she did message me earlier letting me know about the meeting. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I see Gabriella has joined us. Gabriella, go right ahead.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. Oh my goodness, Andrew, can I editorialize for a little bit, because Andrew and I, wow, what a ride, Andrew. When did we meet? When did you first start on the JPNA board? Was it 2015?
Well, I've been on the JPNA board for about it's been a little less than 5 years. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I met you. Maybe I was still an aide working for Adrian when I was going to community meetings on his behalf, but I just always remember, even being a staff member, you just treated me so fairly and with respect, and it really speaks to you as a person. And I know you've done a lot. You've been the treasurer. You've, in terms of city matters, you've done a lot with Brophy Park. You've improved signage at Orleans and Sumner Street. I think you put together the Fall Fling in 2019. And then I had to go back because I wanted to make sure that I had my facts straight, because Andrew and I have been partners on so many things in the city, first when I was chief of staff and now as counselor, but I had to go back and understand exactly the extent of that. So just so you all know, since 2018, Andrew, and this is a fact, Andrew has sent me over 180 pieces of correspondence via email on all city related matters. And I think that just shows how much he cares. I mean, he was the catalyst for a lot of the work that I've done already in the last year. So things having to do with coordinating utility and construction permits. He was the catalyst for getting more enforcement officers in East Boston. And it's really because of his work that we have some of these things that we can point to. And so I have such respect and admiration for you. And I think everybody here should know just how fierce your advocacy has been and just how dogged you have been in holding us accountable, but it's because you care. And so, although I know you won't be on the board, I know we'll see you around. I'll certainly see you at the Quiet Few and other local spots, but just know how grateful I am for your service, Andrew. And I have an official resolution, first one signed by Councilor Ruthie Louis-Jean, Council President, that says, be it resolved that the Boston City Council extends its congratulations to Andrew Pike in recognition of his dedication and advocacy for East Boston and his service to the community and the Jeffries Point Neighborhood Association. And be it further resolved that the Boston City Council extends its best wishes for continued success, and that this resolution be duly signed by the President of the City Council and attested to, and a copy thereof transmitted to the Clerk of the City of Boston. So this is in the history books in the city, and it's signed by the Council President. And I'll be sure to get this to you, Andrew. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, Andrew, aren't you just wonderful? Thank you so much for everything.
Fair enough.
Like, test me out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Is Adrian here? No, I don't see him. I'll tell you what, normally Andrew is the one who coordinates with the police, so we will give the police a chance to present, and then if Adrian is here, we can let him go. How does that sound, everybody?
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. We're always thrilled to hear from our elected officials. So with that in mind, I'd like to turn it over. I am looking for Officer Mosley and Officer Alvarez, who usually present to us in the evening.
Hi, Margaret. Sergeant Santolo here.
Oh, Sergeant Santolo. Okay, we received an email from Officer Mosley, so that's why I thought it would be him tonight.
Yep, nope, they're on also. I wasn't going to say anything, but I just wanted to say thank you to Andrew for his service. And also, I wanted to announce one quick announcement that the 16th of this month is the last chance to sign up for the civil service exam. So if anybody on this phone call knows somebody who's interested in law enforcement, it's a great opportunity. But that window for this exam is closing on the 16th. So if you know anybody, just remind them. And I had one more thing. Oh yeah, someone said that they didn't get enough snow, but I live in Wakefield, so everybody who put those thumbs up, any of those thumbs want to help me shovel, I'll come pick them up for that snow announcement earlier. So I'm gonna turn it over to Hugo. Hugo, you on, bud?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, I have the District 7 warrant crime overview. This is a comparison for the crimes from the 2022 to 2023. For last year, we are reporting 1 homicide. We are reporting 46 robberies. For domestic aggravated assaults, 53. For non-domestic aggravated assaults, 72. We move on to commercial burglaries. We have 20. For residential burglaries, we have 31. For larceny for motor vehicles, we have 118. Other larcenies, 251. For auto theft, we have a little uptick on that. It went to from 73 to 98. Total arrests for District 7 last year, 899. And I'm gonna move on to other incidents that happened beginning on January 1st. On January 1st, we had a license premise violation. While on patrol, officers were directed to 28 Bennington Street, where loud music was coming from the establishment. Our licensing unit, the supervisor, and our district captain made an appearance to that establishment. And upon trying to enter the establishment and identify a worker, obstructed the pathway of the captain and the supervisor. And he was actually moved away. He did comply with the order. Upon reviewing the establishment's licenses, they determined that the entertainment license, the liquor license, were expired. So they were issued a license premise violation. Also, another thing to add to that, it was way overcrowded. They have permitted capacity for 49 patrons. It was 154, so they were shut down for the evening. On January 1st, we had a stolen scooter. Moving on to January 3rd, we had a package larceny. On January 3rd, we had a gentleman that came into District 7 to report that he went to Central Square, went to Dunkin' Donuts, left his car running. When he came out, the car was gone. Don't leave your keys in your car, don't leave them running. On January 5th, our anti-crime unit, that's officers in plain clothes, investigated a suspect. Upon further investigation, revealed that the suspect had an outstanding warrant for assault and battery on a police officer, possession of a firearm without a license, ammunition, and for marijuana. So he was placed under arrest and transported. On January 5th, we had a scam. Scam's still a big issue. We had a victim had called our office and spoke to one of the officers here at the office and reported that he was calling on behalf of his mother. That his mother was reached out by telephone that she had won a prize, and she had to make out a check and send it over to the postal service, and then she goes to the bank, and upon going to the bank, she finds out that her bank account had withdrawn $7,900, and all originated from that phone call. So be very aware of that. The scam's still out there, and they're happening. On January 5th, our drug unit arrested a suspect for possession of drugs and larcenies. And that's what I have for the evening. If you guys have any questions.
Great. Carolina, do you see any questions in the chat?
None pertaining to this, actually.
Okay.
Not pertaining to this, but I was wondering, Hugo, if you could update us on the attack on JPN on it was the week of September, either like the 7th through the 12th of September 2023. There was an attack on a civilian and then a city officer, and just wondering if there were any updates on that.
No, I don't have any updates on that. That's probably under investigation.
Okay.
Okay. Just a reminder, if you have questions to please submit them through the chat. As always, we appreciate you being here, officers. It's very helpful to know what's going on in the community and to be able to compare how we're doing to others. Oh, Carolina has her hands up.
Yeah, we do have a question. If there are any updates on December 19th incident at Maverick Square.
Is that for the stabbing?
I believe so, yes.
There were he survived. The victim is a well-known fellow to us. He's always in the square. He's been a problem for many years, but I believe that he got sectioned, and that's a psychiatric order. So he's on Bridgewater being evaluated. But he survived the attack, and he knew his attackers, and there was more like a drug business transaction going bad. And we all kind of know who the guy is.
But he did survive.
Yeah, he did survive. He did survive. But he's in a psychiatric ward now in Bridgewater.
Okay.
The victim or the
victim?
Okay.
Yeah.
And the victim, we all know who he is. He's been hanging around the Maverick Square for forever. He's always asking for change at Dunkin' Donuts. He's no fella. He grew up in the area. He's been here forever. But unfortunately, he's a drug user, and he was stabbed by fellas that he was making drug deals with, and it didn't work out.
Okay. Thank you very much. A quick reminder, as we have so many people here, I can't resist, but remind them, the police department, they respond to 911 calls. They will respond to other assistance if sent through the non-emergency number if you need it as well. However, they also do have a few other services they offer. In the lobby at the police department, there is I don't want to call it a bin, but it looks suspiciously like a trash can, but it's meant to be the proper disposal of medications, in particular prescription medications that you might want to keep out of the hands of younger people. There are no questions asked. You come in, you put them in the slot as well. At other meetings, they have announced that if you need to dispose of a firearm, either because of the passing of a relative or because you are moving or assisting someone with moving, they are also happy to come in and remove it for you to ensure that the safety of you and the other people in the household. So just a quick reminder, I'm sure there's more information on the website about other services that they offer, but a reminder that they're here to help keep us safe, and these are some of the ways that they do that. Any others you want to throw on the list really quickly, Officer Centolo or Alvarez?
No, you covered that great. I just want to piggyback on that weapon. Please don't handle a weapon that you don't know how to handle or use. especially when, Margaret covered it. It happens a lot when somebody passes away and they're going through their belongings, and thankfully we haven't had an incident yet, but it's just better just call us and we'll come take care of that. Anything you need, you have questions that you don't think you want to call 911, you don't feel like it's an emergency call, you can call us at 343-4752. That's our office. We're there day and night, and you can just ask for one of us, and we're probably the only ones answering the phone, and we can chat.
Okay. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to thank Andrew Pike for his services, for a job well done, and for making the community much better than what it is.
Thank you both. I appreciate everything you guys do.
Thank you, Andrew.
It's actually, it is usually Andrew who does contact the police department and lets them know what night the meeting is, and then also lets them know if we know that there's any questions that we're going to be asking as well. So he's worked with them.
It's funny because we actually, for some reason, and I think it's the same person every time. There's always someone that comments about the police making their comments on our meeting, and I'm like, why would somebody not want to hear everything you guys have to say? I don't understand. Someone doesn't like to hear about all of the stuff that's going on, but I want to hear everything. So
that's good to know. It's good to know. We're still a very safe part of Boston, and then we've had a rough stretch this past couple of weeks, but we're gonna fix it, and we're gonna get better for it. And we live in a nice, really nice neighborhood. Let's continue to keep it that way.
Thank you so much. I'm just doing a quick check really quick to see if Adrian is here. I do not see him quite yet.
He is here. He just dialed in, but I think he should be in here.
Okay, I don't see him quite yet, but we do actually have two people on the phone. If we could
Margaret, I'm one of the people on the phone.
Oh, there you go. Well, that is really good timing. I was going to say we better let's check their attendance so that they can vote at future meetings. But ladies and gentlemen, Adrian Modero, our state rep.
Good evening, everyone. Margaret, thank you so much. Sorry, I'm joining by phone. Crazy night. Things are going full steam after the new year, but I definitely did not want to miss this to recognize Andrew for his years of service. Andrew is on, right?
Yes.
I am.
Okay, wonderful. Good to hear your voice, Andrew. Folks, I grew up in a family with, my mom in particular, who has served for a number of years on the board of the Eagle Civic Association. It takes a tremendous sacrifice to be on the board of a civic group. These are folks who volunteer their time away from their personal lives, their familial commitments, work, not just to host a meeting a month, but to do an inordinate amount of work day by day, week to week, to elevate the concerns of the neighborhood, to be conduits to elected officials, to the police, to you name it. It is a huge commitment in time, energy, resources, and it takes people who really want to pour their heart and soul into the community because they love the community. And that is certainly Andrew Pike in a nutshell. I've known Andrew for a whole number of years now, and he, as long as I've known him, has been unbelievably dedicated and committed to this community, and in particular to the Jeffries Point neighborhood and to JPNA. This is a bit bittersweet because Andrew is often a go-to for me. I can't tell you the number of constituent cases we've worked on together. Anytime state issues or community issues have popped up at JPNA, Andrew will reach out to me as a partner to figure out how we put our heads together to solve issues in the community. And Andrew, for that, I am eternally grateful. You have not only been a great partner in community advocacy, but you've really become a dear friend to me over the years. And your commitment to this neighborhood, it's so obvious how much you love East Boston, how much you love Jeffries Point. And it's bittersweet because, of course, you're leaving, but I know you're not going far away. And I still hope that you will continue to be that important conduit of information and elevate those concerns. I know that to be the case, knowing you, Andrew. But I did want to just stop in virtually by phone tonight. Marcella, could you please just put the citation up on the camera? I can't see, so I'm gonna go forward and hope that it is visible at this point.
It is.
But I did just want to present you this site. Okay, great, thank you. Andrew, I wanted to present you this citation virtually. We'll make sure to get this to you by mail, but this is a citation from the Massachusetts House of Representatives for you, Andrew, just recognizing your many years of hard work, dedication, and commitment to the Jeffries Point Neighborhood Association and more broadly to the community of East Boston. You are a gem of this community, Andrew. We are so fortunate to have you. And I want to just say from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of so many whose lives you've bettered through your service, thank you. Wishing you the best now that you're going to have a little bit more free time, but I know you won't be far away, and I know you're going to still stay very involved because you are the type of person who rolls up your sleeves and works to make East Boston a better place. And just want to say thank you for that, and also thank you for your service on the JPNA board.
Thank you very much, Adrian. I really appreciate all the kind words. And speaking of that, I'm actually wanted to mention just really quickly that I am actively, it was something that I started when I was still on the board. I'm actively still trying to work with the City of Boston Parks Department and trying to get an idea of how much it would cost for us to replace the lovely 50-gallon metal drums that we currently have as trash cans and replace them with something a little bit more classy that is more appropriate for a historic park of its nature. So that's something that I am going to continue doing after. Obviously I've left the board and I'm going to continue to try and advocate for that. And so you may be seeing a request for some donations in the future for that type of thing. So not you specifically, Adrian, but maybe you too, but in general. So I just kind of wanted to mention it this evening. So that is something I'm going to actively continue to try and complete before I move on.
Andrew, you can't see my face right now, but I'm beaming ear to ear because I am not surprised. Of course you're going to stay active. Of course you're going to stay involved. And of course you're going to keep fighting to make East Boston the best community to live and work and what have you. So really happy to hear that. And you know, I'm nothing but a call away and happy to help.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thank you for your service, man. Congratulations.
Thank you, Adrian. It's great to hear you this evening.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everyone. Take care. See you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. So the citations that everyone has seen this evening, Andrew will receive in the mail, so he will get to keep them. But Andrew, we are grateful for your service. Thank you so much. Next up on the agenda, we just do want to give our mayor's liaison just a quick minute to make some announcements. Manuela Villagomez, I saw, is here this evening. Manuela, if you wanted to make any announcements, go right ahead. I stole the one about the mayor's speech, but I'm sure you have others.
It's okay. I will reiterate that. Hi everyone, Happy New Year. I'm a little under the weather, so excuse me if my voice goes out at any point. My biggest just plug is that tomorrow is the mayor's State of the City address. This is a great time to it's like a 20-25 minute speech you can listen to, tune into if you go to boston.gov/SOTC. I'm happy to drop it in the chat and maybe Carolina can post it for everyone else to see or add it to the minutes. But it's a great chance to be aware of some of the wins that we've had as a city over the last year, as well as hear any announcements about where the city is planning to invest its time and energy into in 2024. So I know you're all very civically engaged and just could be a cool opportunity to just learn more about what's going on in the neighborhood and in the city overall. Definitely have some shout outs in there for East Boston, so you don't want to miss those. And yeah, that's like my biggest announcement. I also have a citation for Andrew, so not to bring him back, but Andrew, I have a certificate of recognition on behalf of Mayor Wu. It says, in honor of your committed work and service as a board member of the Jeffries Point Neighborhood Association, and for your dedication to civic engagement and advocacy for the residents of East Boston, on behalf of the city of Boston, we celebrate you for all of your contributions to the neighborhood. Just wanted to make sure that you felt the love also from the city. I know everyone's kind of said it, but you are a very fierce and passionate advocate for the neighborhood, and we're so lucky to have someone that cares so much about East Boston and the greater city of Boston. So thank you so much for your service, and I look forward to continuing to partner with you on all of your passion projects. Thank you, and yeah, Happy New Year, everyone.
Thank you, Manuela. We certainly hope you feel better this evening. Before we get to the Boston Marina and Shipyard, we do have one I wouldn't call it a presentation, but kind of road show this evening from Janice Goulier. I might have mispronounced that, unfortunately. She's the Communications and Content Manager from Boston 311. She's going to talk a little bit this evening about the 311 system and when you should use the app versus calling in. And ironically, one of the reasons they are here this evening is for an issue that Andrew has raised. So we will ask that question later. But can the people from 311 please unmute yourself? And just to let you know, you have 10 minutes, including questions.
Hi, so Janice couldn't make it, but my name is Megan Toll. I'm the Deputy Director for 311. I do have a quick slide presentation if you want me to share that so we can walk it through, but yeah, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. So let me share my screen really quick if that's possible. All right. So I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with 311, but if you're not, we are the City Hall's main constituent service line. We're under the Community Engagement Cabinet, so we work very closely with Neighborhood Services, Office of Civic Organizing, Spark Boston, and the Mayor's Office. So we're open 24/7, 365 days a year. So anytime you have an issue, someone is always available. There's really no like press 1 for this, press 2 for that. You get a live person immediately to answer your questions and fulfill your service requests. We do have a 24/7 language line, so anyone can call in. It's extremely accessible, so you never have to worry about a language barrier or anything like that. The biggest thing that we always just want to stress to people is that we are for non-emergency city issues. So anything that you would report to Boston Police, so you see something suspicious going on in your neighborhood, a fire, any type of safety concern, we do encourage you to call 911. But anything that is non-emergency city issue or just inquiries or questions that you're curious about, you can always call us and we're always available. Also, the biggest thing that we serve is as data collection for the city of Boston. So the more that you report, the better our data is, the better we can see the hotspots. So we can look at a street in East Boston and say, hey, Public Works, we've been getting a lot of requests for sidewalks and street repairs. We really should take a look at this. So that's also a main purpose that we serve. So keep reporting. If you don't report already, always use us. So what can you call 311 for? So we have the service requests. That would be, like I said, pothole requests, broken sidewalks. You see needles on the sidewalk. Your park is not clean. Trash barrels are overflowing. Your trash was missed, and so many more service requests. We put those in. They go directly to the department, and then the department handles them from there. You can also call us just for general information on city services and programs. So if you don't know how to get a birth certificate, or you don't know about a grant from arts and culture, or, you know, the list goes on, you can always call us. We'll give as much information as we can. And then if we're not able to provide the detailed information that you're looking for, we connect you directly to that department. So a little overview of like what happens when you submit a service request. We take in the request and we log it and we send it directly to the department that would handle that issue. From there, the department is responsible for handling that request. So sometimes you'll see response time varies with how cases get closed out. You may think that, you know, it's taking a while for that. That is what the department is there for. They're supposed to look at the issue, decide what the best course of action is, and then go from there for how to close it, how to best respond. So also, if you ever have any concerns, if you submit a service request and you're not seeing any movement on it, always feel free to give us a call back. We can always look into it deeper. We can flag for your neighborhood liaison. We can flag for our contacts in the departments to try and get it escalated and get it moving along. So never hesitate to call us back. Then once the department kind of resolves the issue or puts it on a list, like for speed bumps, for example, where it may take a little bit longer for the process to ensue, They then close out the request. A lot of people think that 311 closes out your service request. We do not. It is the department that's closing them out. So if you ever see a case closure and you're like, what does that mean? Again, you can always call us back and we can try and get clarification on it, but the department is the one that closes out the service request, but we can always provide more information and insights. And then I just wanted to highlight some of the common service requests from kind of our top departments that we get a lot of requests from just all over the city. Public Works is probably one of our biggest ones. We get a lot of trash and recycling inquiries, you know, with the snowstorms or with holiday season. Is my trash delayed? You know, what day is my pickup? Is it a leaf and yard waste day, etc.? We get a lot of requests for that. We have sidewalk repairs, potholes. If you see roadway construction and there's some issue with that, we can put in complaints to Public Works for them to look into it. Street cleaning inquiries, and then scheduling bulk items. So I have listed here a couple of the bulk items. These are the ones that you have to schedule for requests. You can either schedule them through the website or call us directly and we'll put it in. And they're always scheduled on your normal trash day. And then the item that was recently added this past year were mattresses and box springs. I'm sure everyone is familiar with mattresses and box springs and the confusion with that. It's definitely been a learning process for all of us as we try to, you know, enact this mandate from the state. So if you're not sure how to dispose of an item, we have our trash directory. I linked it here, and I believe I sent the presentation over, so we can also share that out. But then I'll just go quickly into mattresses and box springs and give a general overview, and then obviously any questions, just jump in. So why do you have to schedule mattresses and box springs? So this is a state mandate from the Department of Environmental Protection that was enacted on November 1st of 2022. It requires that mattresses be scheduled and recycled with certain mattress collectors. And if we do not follow the state guidelines as municipalities, we could be fined. So we had to enact it quickly. As of January 1 of 2023, that's when the mattress collection went in. So it was a pretty quick turnaround. So Public Works kind of got the contractors together and we were a learning process. So how do you schedule a mattress for collection? You have to call 311 in order to schedule a mattress. We cannot schedule through the website or app. Reason being, call takers need to get contact information so that Public Works, if there is an issue with your mattress collection or it's missed for whatever reason, they're able to see who it is. We're able to get in contact with you to let you know, like, hey, okay, you reported as missed. We're going to be out in a day or two to pick it up. So we need that contact information and we need an exact address to know exactly where the mattress is located. We only service buildings with 6 units or less. Any building that is above 6 units, we do not service in the city of Boston. And all addresses must be residential. We don't service businesses or commercial addresses. So keep going. And then another big thing that people get confused about that I wanted to highlight, mattresses are not scheduled on your regular trash and recycling day. They're usually scheduled on off days. It's just the next available appointment for your area. The city is split up into zones. So for East Boston, it may be that it's available for pickup in 2 days. That's when the contractor has an opening, or as we've seen with the amount of mattresses that we've had collected, it has been scheduled out for weeks out in advance, which I know is frustrating. We were hoping that it would just be the next day pickup, but there were a lot of mattresses that actually got disposed of. So it's going to be on just the next available day.
Hey, Megan, we have some questions in the chat. Can, as we are running low on time with you, can we go to those questions?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Thanks so much. Carolina?
Yeah, so the first question is if there is a cost to the caller to have a mattress collected.
Yes. So if you have a building that is 7 or more units, you will have to go through a private contractor. Also on this slide, I did link the state's website that has a list of available contractors. Unfortunately, the city of Boston, if it's 6 units or less, we pick it up for free. If it's over 6 units, then you do have to get a private contractor to pick up your mattress. So there usually is a cost associated with that. To my knowledge, there's no free service, but I did link the website here for the state's website that has the contractors, so you can look at them.
So a separate question that's kind of a follow-up from that, and I'm not sure if we'll have an answer tonight, but the question was why the city doesn't pick up from buildings over 6 units.
So originally, from my understanding, again, I'm not public works, so I'll try to answer it as best I can. Originally, we were picking up from buildings that had, more than 6 units. What we were finding with the limited amount of mattresses that the contractor can pick up per zone, the larger buildings, they would schedule 10, 11, 12, even more mattresses, and they would actually fill up the truck that would come that the contractor would pick up the mattresses with. And then people who had like the smaller buildings, they would get pushed out farther. So the city of Boston just made a call and just said, it's just the density of how many mattresses that have been scheduled are just too much. It wasn't something that we anticipated. So from there, they just said that, we don't service most buildings that are 6 or more units for recycling carts, or larger buildings have to get a separate contract. So they just went with that standard.
All right, and then we have a question about a rat situation on Sumner Street that apparently has been an issue for several years, especially the NOAA site 376 rear Sumner.
Yeah, so for right now, I don't know if I'd be able to answer that specific question, but I can drop my email into the chat. And for follow-up, if you want to email me directly, I can look into the case further and I can see what ISD is doing, because it's inspectional services that handles the rodent activity.
Okay, and then just one more kind of 1/2 more questions just regarding the presentation. If we can have the presentation so that we can post it in our meeting notes, since there were a lot of links here that people are interested in, that would be wonderful. And then the last question that we have time for right now is if tree trimming is included in the 311 calls.
Yeah, so you can put in tree maintenance requests. We send it over to parks. And then their season usually for tree trimming is the spring and summer. They usually have a halt to it in the winter unless it's an emergency situation where they have to remove it. But yes, you can make that request through us.
Okay, thank you. That's it for now.
Awesome. And then just for context, the rest of the presentation, because we probably don't have time, I do have other slides with other common service requests that you can report through 311, as well as a walkthrough of how to use the app if you're not familiar. So you all can just look back at it and refer to it if you need help with that.
Thank you so much, Megan. We'll be sure to post this on our website, www.jeffriespoint.org, and also share it on our social media so that people can access it. If I could ask you to stop sharing so that we could, that'd be really helpful. Thank you very much. We appreciate you being here this evening. It is one of the ways that we assist the community is to stay in touch and work with our city departments.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Thank you. So now we're going to move on to the Boston Shipyard and Marina. This is the third meeting of the JPNA and the Shipyard. The first one, I believe, was in 2021. Then we had one last year, and I believe the May time period. So at least the time between meetings is getting shorter. I wanted to make a quick announcement. We've heard from a number of residents that they've asked for us to move to a vote. The concern has been, from myself in particular, but in general from the board, that if you look at our website, there is a flow chart that talks about our development process. And on that flow chart, it has been designed for much smaller projects. And because that was designed with those in mind, when a vote happens, that happens after the negotiation period, and that marks kind of the end of the conversation with the developer. Given the unprecedented nature of this particular proposal at the shipyard, considering the amount of time that it has been taken, we've been said that the proposal could take up to 10 years completely to implement, the multiple buildings involved, the idea of having one vote that would encompass the opinions of the neighborhood and then not have any other discussions after that doesn't really make any sense. The board has agreed to meet, and we are going to put together a proposal for a development process that relates to projects over a certain size. I'm not exactly sure what that line will look like, but given the fact that there is a possibility of expansion at Roseland and the contiguous Escalillo lots between Marginal Street and Maverick, which something like this should also apply to, it makes sense to think about what a larger development looks like and what an ongoing discussion around development could be as well. Our goal is to move forward with something by April. We know that for some people that seems fast, and for other people, they're going to say it's not fast enough. But the hope is to have something before then, but we wanted to give ourselves a hard deadline that we could share with you. I hope that answers some of your questions. We've received a number of questions over the past couple of days. We are responding to them as quickly as we can. I know that some people are waiting for a response, and we apologize that it is taking time to get back to you. But we do appreciate your involvement and look forward to continuing. With that in mind, I'm going to turn it over to Marshall Greenland, Sal Lamatina, and Anne Lagasse to do the presentation, and then we will move to questions as quickly as we can. I will say traditionally meetings end at 8:30. I am certainly willing to go later, but we will try to keep to time because I know that in the past when we've run over, we always hear complaints from residents. But take it away.
Thank you, Margaret. Thank you, and Happy New Year to everybody. So we're back to answer some of your concerns that you outlined in your letter that you sent us in November. For those who don't know me, my name is Sal Lamatina. I am your community liaison for the Boston Harbor Shipyard and Marina. And I'm very excited about this opportunity. And I think we all should be excited about this opportunity. As some of you know, I've been working on the waterfront for many years. I'm on the PAC. I was the original member of the East Boston Piers PAC Advisory Group, which have been in contact. We've been together for over 30 years, and we finally had phase 2 opening last month. Please get down there and enjoy the addition to the Piers Park. But folks, listen, we have an opportunity right now. If you look at the East Boston waterfront, and I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed the waterfront this summer with the new restaurants and the water transportation. And if you look at the waterfront from the Hyatt to the Yeti, this piece right here, the Boston Harbor Shipyard, is the last piece. And then we have probably one of the nicest waterfronts in the country, I think so. I think that the neighborhood working together really did a good job in the connections from the neighborhood to the waterfront. So before I introduce Ann, all I ask is let's work together. This shipyard has been here for over 100 and something years. There hasn't been any investment to the shipyard since probably in the 40s. So if you walk down to the shipyard, you'll see a lot of the piers and the infrastructure. I mean, they're sinking into the harbor. So there's some major investments that has to take place there. And like I said earlier, this shipyard, who has been part of East Boston's history for over 100 years, employs a lot of East Bostonians. So we want to work together with the neighborhood to make this the nicest shipyard in America. With us tonight is Anne Lagasse. She, unbelievable what she did in Charlestown. They took the worst marina in America and made it the best marina in America. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Anne Lagasse because I know we have a short time and we want to answer most of your questions tonight. So thank you all. Anne.
Thank you, Sal. I hope everyone can hear me. And I welcome you all too, and thank you for attending. We value the community input into this process. And I want to congratulate Andrew. I don't know if he's still on this call, but he's a man that always came down, says, what's going on? You know, what do you think the shipyard needs? You know, so he's a good guy. But as you know, the shipyard property is owned by Massport, and we are the long-term leasee. We welcome our Massport members who are on this call. We became a tenant here because we support Massport's goal in keeping this important parcel a designated port area, which is DPA, for the city of Boston. I thought it makes sense to say who we are and why do we feel this site needs to be improved and protected. Forgive me, because I know we have a lot of public meetings and I feel like sometimes we talk too much about ourselves, but I think not everybody may have heard this message before. We've been in the marina and marine-related businesses for over 35 years, my husband and myself. We started our work in Boston over a decade ago, buying a marina out of bankruptcy. Now we own and operate 4 marinas on Boston Harbor and the shipyard. We also have marinas in Portland, Maine, and Provincetown, Massachusetts. Working on the harbor, we saw the growth of vessels, both commercial and recreational. Quickly, we realized there was not convenient fueling location in Boston Harbor, so we started Harbor Fuels, again, about 15 years ago. Today, we fuel most of the commercial vessels in the harbor, the water taxis, the ferries, Coast Guard, Environmental Police, Harbor Master, Boston and Massport Police. For 3 years, we've delivered fuel to the dredge. As you know, the Boston Harbor was dredged by the federal government to allow the large new Panamax ships into the container port. That was a project, but it was a federal project done on time, amazingly. We saw and support the growth of water.
Hi, Anne.
Yep.
I am so sorry to do this to you. Unfortunately, the earlier part of the meeting took much longer than we thought it would.
Yep.
Given that I know that we already have 30 questions, I do apologize for interrupting you, and I am sorry, but I also know that we're not going to have time to get to everything this evening as it is. Can we move to the presentation?
Yeah, well, I just want to finish one thing, Maria, because I think the understanding, people don't know why we're doing this, right? And I want to say why we're doing this, right? Because all of us who live and work around Boston Harbor see the growth of water transportation. In addition to that, folks, we're going to see and we're seeing it, right? Offshore, the wind farm industry. And all of these vessels need to be, have a location where they can be hauled, repaired, and put back into the harbor. And that does not exist in Boston Harbor today. What this site does, the Boston Harbor Shipyard Marina, DPA, is a designated port area to support the working waterfront. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what this is all about, that we create a setting by repairing piers, by buying travel lifts, by building marine sheds to repair these vessels. So that's what this is about. In addition, as you all know, we want to improve public amenities on the site too, as we talked about. But I just want people to understand that's what this is all about. You know, this history of the shipyard has always been about shipbuilding, ship repair. Today we have new uses, water transportation, wind farm, commercial vessels on Boston Harbor. And that's what this property plans to do. We do it today. We absolutely do it today. And we just need to add some more pieces so we can support these growing industries. So I'm sorry, I had to just explain that all, Margaret, because people ask me all the time, why are you doing this? Well, this is why we're doing it. So, but I'm going to let Marshall go ahead and present the presentation, and we look forward to the questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ann. Thank you, Sal. Thanks everyone for having us. Margaret made a good point earlier on that, this is a continuing discussion. So, we're happy to be here. We're happy to continue to have these discussions. And I think that, Ann's points are important, because that's what, most of the presentation and the questions are based around is, what the needs are here and why we're doing it. And, so that's what we're going to get into, in these slides. So, for the agenda, we've done introductions, and then the following slides are, going to focus on some of the questions that we've received since our previous presentation with you all, questions from the community, and then addressing some of the areas that for the buildings and the dimensions and the additional needs that the site requires for us to continue doing this work in the DPA site. And
Great. What page can we jump down to so we can start?
The infrastructure. Next slide, please. So highlighting the shipyard's history. Sorry, frozen here. So some of the topics that are important to us, and just the history of the shipyard. Obviously, immigration is a big topic here. It spans the history of the shipyard. Some of the previous tenants, Simpson Dry Dock Company, Bethlehem Steel, and some of the naval ship repair work that has really been a big factor throughout many of the large U.S. wars. So there's a lot of good stories to tell there, and a lot of important ways that that our shipyard has supported Boston and the greater maritime industry. Excuse me. Also, some really great stories about local projects that the shipyard's been involved in.
Hi, Marshall. Marshall, I'm sorry to interrupt you. And I think it's certainly very interesting, the history of the shipyard, but people are very anxious to hear about the proposals for the impact of the future plans on their homes. As I mentioned, we already have we have well over 30 questions, like before you've even started talking. If you could jump forward to the transportation impacts, I think that would be a great place to start.
Okay. So continued vehicle and pedestrian safety. So this is this is an important point for the shipyard, and I think that we're unique where most EPA sites don't even allow pedestrian and public access through them. So it's something that makes us unique, and we're happy to. It's a part of the character of the shipyard to have the pedestrian access mixed with our industrial DPA uses. So we have a good history. We're proud of our history in safety for pedestrians through the shipyard, as well as the mix of industrial and non-industrial vehicle traffic. So this slide shows some of the additions to the future uses, part of our plan. So it'll be increased pedestrian areas, and we think it'll be a big benefit to have that additional waterfront and public access areas. But certainly we'll continue to focus on truck access to the shipyard and prioritizing safety with those mixed uses. Next slide. Parking needs and improvements. So we really divide our parking needs into two different kind of categories. So we have our marina parking, and then we have our what we call our shipyard tenant parking. Marina parking is we have enough parking to sufficient parking for all of our marina needs and in our existing marina lot, and then same with our tenant parking. We have historically and will continue to provide parking for all of our tenants and their customers. That's something that's a requirement for most of our tenants. So usually that's worked out before they come into the shipyard. As far as the marina parking goes, with the expansion of the marina, we're fortunate to have the boat storage lot, which we use for marina parking in the summer. So right now that's an overflow lot, but that'll offer sufficient parking if needed, in addition to the spots that we already have in what we consider our marina lot. Some of our parking improvements, so improved entry gates on both sides of Marginal Street that we've discussed in previous presentations. Redesigned parking layout in the marina lot to optimize the use of space that's there. And then infrastructure improvements in the parking areas will give us an increase in available parking areas. Next slide. Building dimensions. So this was just another request that we got. So buildings 1, 2, 3, and 4. You know, this is more, anyone can go back and read this, but building 1 will be 100 feet by 40, 30 feet high. Building 2, 100 feet by 50, 35 feet high. Building 3, 182 feet by 51, 35 feet high. And then building 4, 225 feet by 125 feet, 65 feet high. Next slide, please. So building 4 siting requirements. Really the essential part of where we can, or one of the main parts of where we can put building 4 is the dimensions of the building. So as we mentioned in the last slide, that's 225 feet long, 125 feet wide, and 65 feet tall. As you can see in the picture to the right there, it kind of gives the dimensions also with the step backs from the road. These dimensions are necessary due to the work and the size of the vessels that we'll be putting in this shed. You know, generally with a 300-ton travel lift, we're talking vessels up to 100 feet long. And the 65-foot height gives us pretty much a minimum clearance to get the machine, the travel lift that carries those boats into the shed. So these dimensions allow for access of those boats into the shed, area to work on multiple boats in there at a time, and to have space around them to do the work. So based on those minimum dimensions, the options obviously are limited on the site. In the following slides, we'll see the kind of progression that we went through to get there. But in addition to getting those vessels in, you also need the area in front of and around the building to bring the boats in and out, make the turns, things like that. So this is an overview of the alternatives that we've worked through, and then the following slides will kind of show what the impacts are, the siting impacts for these. But if you can go back one, please. So we have the previous 3 designs and then the current design. So previous design 1, 95 feet tall, marginal street, and then each design since then to the current design, which is 65 feet tall, setback from marginal street. So next slide, please. So this just kind of shows generally where some of the sight lines that we took from Marginal and Webster Street were, kind of different areas on the roads and different elevations. Kind of tried to be all encompassing for different views, different areas, different heights. Next slide, please. So the following slides, this is out there for anyone to look at. I don't think we need to go through each one in detail right now, but so what this is showing us is the progression of each of these sight lines, and then again, the reference slide that we were just on shows where the different areas were taken from. And then on the bottom of each of these, you'll see a little square that references A, B, C, D. That shows which site each of these is from. So next slide, please. So Marginal Street, next slide. Webster Street, next slide. This is a little further up Webster Street. Next slide. Further up Webster Street, higher elevation. Next slide. Further up Webster Street, still a higher elevation. Next slide. This would be the other side of Webster Street. Next slide. same thing, other side of Webster Street. Next slide. All the way down, higher up, Webster Street. Next slide. So those are the sightline studies. We'll certainly be happy to discuss those. I know people want to look at them, and we'll be open to feedback and questions on those. Additional updates that people have asked about, and we are certainly happy to share when we have this information. But it is still early, and we're just trying to be involved in the community process. So I think maybe in some cases this project, our community involvement may be starting a little earlier on. So we're just not at that point yet in the development process. But shadow study, further traffic study, discussion, noise and dust mitigation, which will be a kind of a construction management plan, proposed building designs, and then kind of a short-term look at our schedule will be 2024 and 25 is permitting and some site work, infrastructure repairs. Next slide.
That was the last slide.
Great. So yeah, that's certainly hopefully that was quick enough, and we'll open it up to any questions.
Margaret, do you want to start with the questions from the emails?
Sure.
We only have 4 minutes left, or not, just a little bit more than 4 minutes, I suppose.
No, we're 8 till 8:30, but I suspect we're going to go over. So what we did is a number of people have sent in emails in the past couple of days. So we've aggregated some of those. Carolina and I are going to take turns so that we will both ask questions from here in the room and also those that have been sent in. I'm actually going to start with one from the JPNA board, which is, did you enter into a TAPA with the city of Boston for the Charlestown Marina site when you were starting construction? A TAPA is a Transportation Plan Action Agreement, which is entered into with the Boston Transportation Department, just to make sure everybody else knows what it is.
I can answer that, no. And it's funny, I just learned what that term was today, so I don't even, so no, we did not.
Okay. So the JPNA has been involved for a number of years with traffic and safety issues regarding both Orleans and Marginal, especially leading into the shipyard. We would like to formally request that you enter into a TAPA with the Boston Transportation Department. This would allow you to share information with them about the uses and about the uses of the building that are planned to being built in the coming years, and would assist them in planning for both traffic mitigation and would be a part of creating a larger plan around people and trucks and cars moving into and out of the Marginal Street shipyard, especially considering that it passes by Pierce Park. We think that that's only a reasonable thing to ask for, that you be a part of the planning for a safer and more well-run community in terms of transportation.
I can't comment on that because I really don't know enough about it. I sincerely, like, today was the first day I've ever even heard that term. So I think you've got to give us some time to get back to you. But one thing I want you all to understand is I describe what this activity is. Most of this new activity is vessels coming out of Boston Harbor on a travel lift to a shed to get repaired and back again. We don't see this growth in truck traffic here at all. I mean, this is why this is the right site for this project. It is moving vessels off of Boston Harbor into repair sheds and back again. So I want you to picture that, you know what I mean? These aren't big vessels coming down roads through Boston streets. So
no, but the supplies involved in repair, the fiberglass, the masts, I mean, those are, I imagine that some of them might be delivered by water because it kind of makes sense, but a percentage of that is still going to come through the street. And unfortunately, I mean, we had an accident just last month where a tractor trailer truck went up Sumner Street, got stuck and then like backed into Brophy Park. So I mean, it's a major concern here in the neighborhood.
As well as the proposed 10 years of construction of that area and the trucks that will be moving in.
So I guess our response is, can we get back to you on Margaret? Because this is.
Yes, I did not expect you to
Right.
make a commitment either way this evening, but we did want to make the formal request. And we wanted to also educate the community about what a TAPA is and how it could benefit us.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
so that was one. Carolina, did you want me to go or did you want to go?
Go ahead. But there's plentiful. So go ahead.
Oh, yes, absolutely. From a regulatory perspective, who do you believe you need approval from at the city and state level for the current plan that you've put forth?
I'm going to request that Jamie Fay, who's a permitting consultant, respond to that question. Pretty technical, right?
Sure, Margaret, I'll do my best. I'm Jamie Fay with 4 Point Associates. I've been working with Chuck and Ann Legacy for more than 25 years on lots of their projects all over the Commonwealth. And I'm very familiar with East Boston, and having worked on every major redevelopment project on the waterfront in East Boston. We're working on putting together the list of permits required for this project. And I would say, again, just consistent with the theme of ongoing and continuous interaction with the neighborhood, there are lots of elements of this project, some of which are pretty small and insignificant projects that compromise the total. Some are bigger and some are smaller, and they'll all be going on at different points in time. So the list of permits is what we're working on, is pulling together that list that breaks down each sort of subcomponent of the investment plan and flags what's needed for them. So I'll give you kind of a general answer if that's okay. So certainly much or most of the shipyard is subject to review and jurisdiction of the Boston Conservation Commission. So certainly any project that involves work in the water or near the water, we're going to touch base with the Boston Concom. We've been before them many times already in the shipyard for various projects, and we'll continue to file with them for new projects as they come along. And at the state level, I think that was your other question. So at the state level, that's pretty much it. The state level, obviously Massport is a state agency, and Massport, as the landlord, will be reviewing kind of everything that's being proposed as it moves forward and signing off on that. I don't call it a permit per se, but it's certainly an approval of sorts. There may be elements of this project that require approval from the DEP, both in terms of a water quality certificate for any work in the water involving dredging or filling. And some elements may require a Chapter 91 license as well. So we're still working those out. But I think that's kind of the big picture answer to your question, but happy to fill that out, flush that out more if it's helpful to you.
Okay, no, that was really helpful. Thank you very much. Carolina, do you have one?
Yeah, do you want to just go back and forth rather than go through all of your questions?
Yeah, because I have like 20. So
Okay.
I want to make sure we get at least a few from in the room.
Yeah, so someone is asking how they can and the community can engage in the Massport process.
I'll jump in and say, I know that Anthony Guerrero's the community kind of representative for Massport, so I'd probably direct that question to him.
Is he on tonight?
I don't know if he's on, but
I'm here. I'm here. Margaret, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Anthony.
Margaret, thank you. And Marshall, thanks a lot. Yeah, I'm again, Anthony Guerrero, and I'm Massport's liaison to East Boston. I think most of you know how to reach me. Phone number 617-568-3739. Email is aguerrero, GUERRIERO @massport.com. In terms of the community process, anything dealing with Massport, we do participate in a lot of these community meetings, presented multiple times at JPNA, and I'm more or less just a phone call away. Margaret knows how to track me down, and a lot of you have called in the past and just recently on some of the questions pertaining to this modernization development project. So always available for a conversation.
Thanks,
Okay,
Anthony.
thank you. And I did have a follow-up question from for Jamie Fay. The question is, when they have the full list of permits, when can they request that it would be provided to the JPNA?
I think we'll certainly be happy to share it as soon as we figure it out. So we're still, as I said, it's in many cases there are going to be multiple permit applications for these different components at different points in time. We're still working through how that's going to play out and make sure that we're having some discussions with agencies just to confirm our understanding. And so when we get through that process, I'm happy to share that with you all. Yeah.
And another follow-up is who at Massport is making that decision, who decides, and who can we reach out to as a community?
I'm not sure what decision you're talking about, but I
believe the person is referring to the permitting.
I don't think that's Massport's decision. I know that Massport, just based on past experience, and I guess I'm going to speak for them, not really for them, but I'll certainly share my understanding, and they can jump in and kind of correct that if I'm wrong. But project for Massport tenants, there's a process that Massport has established. When you want to do a project, you've got to send plans to Massport to get approval before you can go forward with it. And Massport reviews that for all kinds of issues, internally with all various departments of Massport. It's, managed kind of through the real estate group and, but, everything from, looking at fire protection issues to concerns about, vessel access and engineering design and, all kinds of issues that a landlord would want to be aware of before they authorize a project to go forward. So I think I said it's not a permit, and I don't think anyone considers it a permit, but it's an approval that Massport retains as the landlord, right? As they should. If you are renting out a property to somebody, you want them to run the plans by you before they did something because you own it. So that's essentially what that review is.
Okay, thank you. Margaret, go ahead.
Okay. This one is relating to safety. Given that your plans would expand the amount of industrial use in the shipyard, does the shipyard have an emergency action plan, EAP, outlining the chain of communication and mitigations actions to be taken if there is an industrial accident in the shipyard? This is being asked in particular because there was a fire on 10/24/2020 and another hazmat incident in September of 2021, and the neighborhood was not notified except via the Boston Fire Department Twitter feed. So the question is, does the shipyard have an emergency action plan? Does that include an evacuation plan for the shipyard and neighborhood if necessary?
Well, I mean, I can speak to the shipyard, I not so much to the neighborhood, but yeah, I mean, any site like ours would have, it does have emergency plans for, any type of emergency, whether it's, fire, weather, and anything like that. So, that's something that we keep. It's something that, that we review and update. And, I know we've spoken about some of the issues in the past before, and said that we're happy to work with city or whoever officials if you know about communicating with the neighborhood, but that's you know, generally when you make these types of plans, it's not up to a private individual to start handing information out when public responders are responding to the emergency. So that would be beyond what's covered in our plan. Is, you know, issuing statements to the public. That would be up to the public entities that are responding to the emergency.
Okay, just as a quick follow-up, who can we contact in these situations for prompt notification and the disclosure of potential hazardous elements exposed in the neighborhood? Who would handle that? Who is responsible for handling that at the shipyard?
Well, it would be me handling the response, but and normally I would say, you know, you could contact me, but on our response plan, I have a chain of people that I communicate with. So I'd have to get back to you on that if it should be me or the people who I report to, or like the Massport representatives that I report the situation to, because again, we can't have multiple people from different agencies communicating with the public. So that's a great point. We'd be happy to work that into this chain of response, but we'd need to go back and assess that and say, you know, let's have you know, can we have a contact for the public or something like that?
Okay.
This is Andrew Hargens from Massport Real Estate, and it's a great question. I want to make sure everyone understands that Boston Fire are the first responders at this site. Massport has its own fire department, which inspects the site regularly and is quite aware of and involved in the site from a public safety point of view. But it's a terrific question. I think any public notification would likely come from the city of Boston. But as Marshall said, let us follow up with our corporate security advisor, chief of corporate security, and our fire chief, and just talk that through and figure out what the best way to make sure everyone's informed of what's going on.
Okay, thank you for jumping in, Andrew. That was helpful. Carolina?
Yes, we have some questions about the sightline study. One is kind of asking, why is the only site study of Marginal Street as far away from the shipyard as possible? Do we have any sightline studies for the buildings right in front of the shipyard? And kind of another one tacked on to that is the sightline views do not show the other buildings that are planned for the site. Can they revise these sightline views to include buildings 1, 2, and 3, especially since the height has increased from these buildings from 30 feet to 35 feet?
Yeah, I mean, we can certainly take as a note and go back and discuss with architects what that would take. I think that the reason for the citing of position A had to do with the existing building. So if you went any further, it would have been blocked. It would have been blocked by the existing buildings that are there. So it started at a middle point on Marginal Street where you would have the impact from the new buildings, if that makes sense. But we can definitely take those notes and yeah, this was focused on this building. This is what this study was focused on.
Yeah, I think an updated sightline study would be helpful for those other buildings that were referred to, especially considering those will be the ones closest to the largest buildings and most impacted.
Okay.
You want to go back to me? Is it me or you?
Go ahead, Margaret.
Okay. So let me scroll down here. So this is also a two-part question, and it relates to the Chapter 91 licensing process. Will you be pursuing Chapter 91 licenses for the container shopping villages and for the construction of building number 2? And looking at the timeline, it appears that the community benefits are provided in phase 3. We've seen other Massport projects, and in particular, we're in a conversation with Roseland currently, where community benefits were deferred until later phases and then negotiated away or not delivered. Pardon me, it was Portside, not Roseland. Is it possible that some community benefits can be delivered at each phase of the project?
Well, that's, certainly something that we can not answer here with changing the phases of the project, but it's noted and we can look at it as far as what phases they come in. As far as the community one, I'll let Jamie speak to that.
As I said, again,
That's kind of a broad question though, what kind of benefits is the community looking for?
So in previous presentations, they've talked about building a building actually for community use. That's the one I think that they're referring to in particular. Also, the container village in previous presentations has been listed as a community benefit.
So I guess I'll just jump in a little bit on that. I mean, I think it's certainly a good and fair question for the community to ask about one of the things that the community is most interested in going to get constructed. But I will say, this is a little different than a project like Roseland, right? Or Pure One, whatever we call it. So this project is principally water dependent and water dependent industrial projects for which, in the case of Chapter 91, there's no particular provision for community benefits because those uses are presumed to be serving a proper public purpose under the state's tidelands law. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't things that are going to be done, but I think it's important to distinguish a project like this from projects which are, residential, non-water dependent or whatever, in which DP looks for really substantial public benefits. So I'll just make that observation so that people can kind of think about that going forward. But I know Chuck and Ann are really committed to working with every community that they operate in. And this is really an operating business as opposed to a development project. And I hope that you might begin to think about it a little bit differently that way, as you kind of started off the discussion about how you, as an organization, review projects. It isn't like there's a big developer who comes in and presents a plan and you get one shot and you got to say yes or no, right? This is an operating business and it will continue to operate and will continue to evolve and change a little bit here and there over time. And I know that Ann and Chuck are really committed to really, working closely with the community to make sure that as an operating business who's going to be your neighbor for a long, long time, right? That the things that they're doing, they'll try to make fit well into the neighborhood and partner with you on things and help good things happen in your neighborhood as well. So I think, anyway, I guess that's just a little bit of perspective on this, how this project is maybe a little different than typical development projects you might be looking at.
Okay, Carolina?
Yeah, I just want to note that we are over time here. We still have 86 participants on the line. There were over 100 that came to this meeting for this discussion, especially on the note of community involvement. I just wanted to kind of bring light to what a lot of people have said in the chat, which is they have had a very difficult time getting their questions answered, whether it be through email or through phone calls, trying to reach the shipyard and everyone kind of involved, as well as when we have these presentations, the community is well versed in the history of the shipyard, and they really want to get to the nitty gritty of the questions. So I think just a note for future meetings, I think moving on to the question section is incredibly important. On that note, Margaret, do we want to continue asking questions or what should we do about timing?
I'm very torn, but I do think that we should go for at least another 10 to 15 minutes. If this was not recorded, I would feel very differently, but at least if we're able to get answers from some questions, people can then refer to the video or the notes. And I am seeing some thumbs up from some people. which I am interpreting to mean that you would like to continue on with the discussion and trying to address the concerns that people have submitted. So, so yeah, let's at least go for, when we start to lose a lot of people, we'll probably cut it off, but I'd like to go for at least another 10 or 15 minutes to give people a chance at getting a few more things answered. Oh, go ahead. Am I next or are you?
I think I was next. So I have a couple of questions about increased ship traffic, vehicle traffic, and additional patrons that are coming to the proposed retail space. People are wondering where they can find the kind of details on what that would look like, and if there have been traffic studies where they can find those.
Sorry, so you were asking about, can you repeat that question? Sorry, about parking.
Yeah. So it was related to traffic for increased ship traffic, vehicle traffic, and other patrons that would be coming to the proposed retail space, if there have been any traffic studies and where they can find those.
I mean, we've focused mainly on being able to handle these needs within the yard. So, and then in addition, as far as access to the yard, that's very important to us. We've been making a lot of efforts this past year, especially with trucks and other vehicles to help them improve access to the shipyard. We understand that trucks do get lost time to time. It's kind of the nature of it, whether it's these apps or whatever else that they're using. But we're continuing to work to minimize those lost vehicles, because it's an impact to the community. It's also an impact to us and the businesses in the shipyard. So we've
Sorry
been
to
working.
interrupt you. Have there been any traffic studies done?
We have not done a formal traffic study, and I think in the sense that you're referring to.
Okay,
No.
that was the question. Thank you.
Yeah, there's actually been a ping pong of who is, like, Piers Pack asked Massport to do one before the Piers Park expansion happened. Massport wanted the city to do it. The city wanted the Piers Pack to pay for it. It's been a ping pong of trying to get somebody to pay for a traffic study down there for years.
And it has been weekly trucks being lost and getting stuck in different parts of the neighborhood. Unfortunately, it's not a rare occurrence.
But is this directly, are they directly responsible? Or is this like other traffic to the shipyard? Like, let's not like pinpoint.
Hey, Mary
their
Beth, can I ask you to put your questions through the chat? Unfortunately, that is what we're requiring everybody to do. I'm happy to have your questions answered. But if everybody yelled them out, unfortunately, we'd never get to ask any questions.
I understand that, Margaret, but I feel like we're just like running in circles here. Like, can we just like directly get the questions towards this specific project rather than like the traffic like coming in and out like of Jeffries Point? Like, it might not be there.
But we are asking questions that are specific to the traffic going in and out of the shipyard.
But we can't blame all the traffic on them.
I don't think anybody's blaming all of the traffic on them. I think that, but I do think that the large truck traffic is something that the JPNA's worked to address several times. We've worked with the city to put up additional signage, to post a police officer at the beginning. And part of it is understanding what the needs of the shipyard are now and what the needs of the shipyard are going to change to be as they change or add uses. So.
Okay, I understand that. All right. My apologies, but I just don't want to like, if we can just like really focus on their project and not blame all the different trucks going in and out of Jeffries Point.
That is
regarding the proposed project.
That is what we're doing. I promise.
Margaret, it's Anthony Guerrero. Margaret, if I can just give a point of information.
Sure.
So just on the traffic, I know that Marshall and the team at the shipyard have talked to their tenants and the tenant suppliers about using the pre-established truck route to come into the shipyard. But they found out when they've come into the realization is a lot of these truck drivers, unfortunately, are using Waze and GPS. So what's happening is they're coming into Boston. They might
Exactly.
be on the truck route. There's a lot of construction going on in East Boston. They're being diverted through GPS and through Waze. So that's where we're having a lot of truck issues. They have talked to these guys, again, the tenants, and asking the suppliers to focus on the pre-established City of Boston truck route, and has also responded to the BPDA proposal on traffic mitigation along Marginal Street. So Massport, as well as the people at the shipyard, are keeping an eye on that and keeping those lines of communication open.
Okay, thank you for providing additional context, Anthony. We appreciate it. Am I next or are you, Carolina?
Go ahead, Margaret.
Okay. Regarding resiliency, this project adds 4 new waterfront buildings, but so far we've not heard specifics on how the impact of these new buildings would be mitigated. For example, with new green open space or flood protection infrastructure. Can you talk about how the infrastructure to the shipyard will protect the adjacent neighborhood in terms of flooding and heat island impacts?
As far as the adjacent neighborhood, we'd probably have to wait until we had further design there, but I will say that, you know, any improvement or any work that we do, the shipyard's in great need of improvement for resiliency. I mean, right now, with storms and sea level rise and everything else, it's much needed, and that'll be a large part of the designs, and certainly with the heat island impacts, that's a lot of the open space and additions of greenery and everything else that have been in our presentations that we've planned.
Okay.
Margaret, this is Andrew Hargens again. So you asked earlier about what Massport review would occur. Massport has specific floodproofing guidelines that we require all new buildings to comply with, which will elevate and protect those buildings. I think in this case, working with our tenant, we would certainly look at how investments could be made, across the shipyard that would begin to advance protection generally on the waterfront through the shipyard. It's very expensive to do that, as you can imagine, but we don't want to miss the opportunity where improvements are being made to do it the right way. As you know from the recent design of Pierce Park 2 and the berming that was accomplished there, I think we're actively looking at just continuing to try to expand the protections on our property along the whole waterfront. So it'll be present in our mind as we're reviewing the proposals that our tenant puts in front of us, for sure.
That is good to hear. I mean, a significant part of the lower part of Jeffries Point is in flood zones, and there is opportunity there to benefit the entire community through resiliency improvements. Carolina, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So you had mentioned that you are still early in this process, yet we were also looking at permitting at the end of this year. Do you mind sharing a bit more of your timeline? We do know and have noticed that building 7 has been emptied. Are you planning to demolish this building? Yeah.
Well, I don't know where. I've heard all sorts of things about different buildings. We have tenants have left building 17 and come into 17. So I'm not sure about that note, but certainly that's part of our plan is to demolish the building. And regarding the permitting process for that, I don't want to speak to that myself, but it is part of our plan, yes.
And do you mind providing some more information on kind of like the general timeline of things? Because it's a little bit squidgy if we are in the beginning of the process and we don't have a bunch of these answers, or if we're further enough into the process that we're demolishing and having permits.
Well, I think back to some of the comments that that Jamie made earlier is that, you know, certainly as soon as we have a solid timeline to present on permitting, we'll do that. We're in those stages right now. So that's when we say we're permitting for in 2024, that's, you know, that's what we're doing. We're making those assessments, making those timelines. You know, certainly from our business perspective, we'd like to, you know, do it the most efficient way possible. But we don't have solid timelines yet. So that goes back to, you know, being early in the process here, talking with the community. But as soon as we have that, we will certainly be happy to share it.
Okay, Margaret.
Okay. So this is in regards to building 4. The previous times that you have been here to present, we were told the purpose of the building was for storage and repair. It seems now the focus, the term storage has been dropped, and it seems the focus is now repair. Can you confirm that there would not be storage in that building? And will the building contain a rack storage system?
Well, I mean, a lot of what we do is store boats, and when boats are being repaired, they're being stored. So it's kind of, I think I understand the question, but it would be a mix. The function of the building is maintenance and repair. So, but to say that boats wouldn't be stored in there would be, you know, that wouldn't make sense from a boat repair standard. But I can say that we don't plan to put rack storage in there at this time.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
All right, so this is in relation to potential health risks. We're wondering if there could be any education on potential health risks to the community during the construction, and then also for the indefinite day-to-day operation. A detailed list of the proposed and possible activities as it relates to the industrial repair and maintenance building.
Yeah, I think that would be as we approached a construction timeline, that would be in the construction management plan. So, and that would again be regulated and shared. So that would certainly all be in there. And then as far as the work that goes on, you know, I think it's important to stress that that's you know, work that we do already as a DPA site. We're not looking to do any kind of crazy new different type of work. It's just kind of keeping up with the industry and the standards. But again, it's all you know, heavily regulated and everything else. So as the time comes that work's done, I think that's a discussion that we can have.
And just a quick follow-up to that, because there were several people that asked if there has been an environmental impact study, and if not, if there will be, and when can we expect that?
I'm not sure about that. I would have to get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Margaret.
Okay. The shipyard stated in a previous presentation that they intended to apply for public grants as a part of your financing. Such grants require a notice of the application, a copy of the application, and a descriptions of the means of public comment to the granting authority. As of this moment, where have or will notifications be made? And where could residents of Jeffries Point access such applications? This request includes past, current, and future.
I'm not familiar with those requirements, so I'd have to look into that. But certainly, as a business, especially one that is, you know, heavily involved in state initiatives like water transportation in Boston, marine repair for municipal vessels. Yes, certainly we're always interested in grants. So that's something we have and will continue to do, is pursue grants that are concerned to, you know, those state and public initiatives or anything else that affects our industry.
I think it might be helpful. So when you say grants, this person said public grants. So are you referring to grants that are made by like the state to promote resiliency? Like, could you give us an example of like something you would apply for a grant for, and like for an agency or who it would come from?
Yeah, I mean, the short answer would be anything. If there's an agency offering money, we're you know, as a business, we're gonna, you know, pursue it. But yeah, resiliency. There's a lot of water transportation, marine infrastructure. Those are big ones. You know, wind and just all anything that affects the industries that we serve. I mean, they're state, they're federal, there's a whole world of grants out there. So to kind of narrow it down, there's specific shipyard grants. So there's a lot of stuff.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
So I have a couple questions. I think both they're all referring to, I believe, building 4, so the largest building. They're kind of coupled together. So one is asking what happened to the original proposed placement of building 4 from the shipyard's presentation at in June 21. The building was placed deeper into the shipyard in front of Seabiscuit. And this one is asking how far back exactly the building is set back from Marginal Street. So I think it seems a bit unclear how that building has shifted around and why.
How far the current building is set back, or the original, or the one that's being referenced from before?
The proposed one.
Yes, the proposed one, I want to say 120, but let me go back to the image on that slide just so I'm make sure. Yeah, so 120 feet from Marginal Street is the current proposed setback.
Okay, and what was the reasoning behind moving it further out from the shipyard as opposed to further in where it was originally proposed?
So closer to Marginal Street?
Yes.
Well, when it was closer on Marginal Street, it you know, mainly that was a community impact issue. So setting it back was instead of being adjacent to Marginal Street, setting it back 120 feet.
But it's currently, so it started out being further into the shipyard, right? And now it has moved in front of the lowest lying buildings in Jeffries Point. So we're kind of confused as to how that benefits the community and how that is less impactful on.
Okay. So you're talking about when it was at a completely different position, the setback from, okay.
Yeah.
So that was mostly operational, and a little change in design of the building also from low at that point it was 95 feet. So the height reduction had an impact on that as well.
The height reduction needed it to move to this other area. I'm sorry, I'm confused about that.
Yeah, it impacted the uses and the overall dimensions of the building. So the change of that was operational.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand.
So this is Andrew, and we were part of the discussion with our tenant, and I think the location the building was in before that you're referencing,
right,
it's not possible to move the building farther towards the shore, away from the neighborhood in that location, because the travel lift has to operate there. So I think the location where the building is presently was an evolution based on feedback from this group and other feedback from the neighborhood. And it was the farthest location away from residents that the building could sit, the farthest away from Marginal Street that it could sit. And that's, I believe, Marshall, that's why you guys worked to put it in this location, because the building size was minimized and it was moved farther toward the shoreline, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, I think having an updated, or rather a sightline study regarding its location is going to be really important because, as I said, it's the largest building in front of the lowest lying buildings in the neighborhood. Margaret, you can go ahead.
Okay, I do just want to do a time check. It's 8:54. Let's try to go for another 5 minutes and cut off around 9 p.m. I can say that I've heard from Sal Lamattina, a representative of the shipyard, that they're willing to come back within the next 3 months to continue this conversation. So we will have them back either in March or April. We will work with them to get them scheduled. As clearly there are a number of questions, and as they move forward, we would want to continue the discussion. So I have a couple of questions regarding the parcel containing building 2. In particular, because it directly abuts multiple properties on Webster Street. There's concerns that excavation into the gravel drumlin will destabilize homes, which are on fieldstone foundations. Also, there's concern about pile driving so close to the homes on Webster Street. So the specific questions are, what type of foundation will be used? Are you certain that there will be no excavation? Okay, it's going to go into other things, but let's start with those 3.
Yeah, I mean, this question has come up a few times recently, and the foundation is not yet engineered, so we just don't have an answer for that yet, other than that the good thing about that area is that there is solid ground there versus a lot of the that's where the original shoreline was. So further out, you would need to drive piles and everything else. But we're aware of the concern, and we've brought it up to our engineers, and in the certainly in the coming months they'll be investigating that and developing answers for us for that concern.
Okay, Carolina, we might be able to fit one more in.
Sure, yeah, this one should be an easy one. Will the shipyard support changing the parking on Marginal Street to resident-only parking?
We can certainly address the question. I don't think we can answer that here. Not sure I understand the impacts. So but
because
it's interesting.
There's so much traffic that runs through, these on Marginal Street on either end that go to the shipyard for a multitude of reasons. And, the proposed container village would also bring a lot more traffic in. And as it stands right now, it's pretty impossible to find parking, specifically for residents on Marginal Street by Pierce Park. And so the hope is, at least here in this question, that we could change that from, if the shipyard would support changing that to resident parking only, to kind of decrease traffic and encourage people to take public transport, as well as allowing residents to actually have a place to park their car.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll certainly note that request. I mean, I know as far as the shipyard's concerned, we feel that we have the sufficient parking for all of our needs in the shipyard. So, yeah, so we'll certainly note that and discuss it.
Okay, Margaret, do you have one final question?
Actually, I think I do think that we should wrap this up. The next meeting of the Jeffries Point Neighborhood Association is scheduled for February 12th. We will, of course, let people know as soon as we have confirmed what date the shipyard will be back. But they, as I said, Sal Lamattina has confirmed that they'll be back at least in the next few months, so potentially as early as March. We do thank everyone for being here this evening and your patience. We do apologize for running late, but we wanted to prioritize getting as many questions answered for the community as possible. Again, this is going to be an ongoing discussion for a period of time, and the JPNA will be working to put together a more formalized plan so that we can continue working with the shipyard, but also be able to provide some consistent feedback to them, which would be helpful. As always, we are here to help you. Please feel free to reach out to the JPNA at board@jeffriespoint.org. That is our email address, and our website is www.jeffriespoint.org. Again, a quick reminder that nominations are now open for a position on the board. If you thought tonight was exciting and fun, imagine what it is when you get to read all the emails that go into planning and putting it together. It's incredible, really. I did not mean that to be as sarcastic as it sounds. I actually do really enjoy doing this. Not only because I care about the neighborhood, but it's a great way to meet people, and you learn incredibly interesting small facts and details about things that you would never be exposed to. Like, as Ann said, she'd never heard the word what a TAPA was before today. I didn't know what it was before last Wednesday. So learn new things, and it's also a great excuse to meet neighbors and make new friends. But anyway, so yes, so it is 9 p.m. So I will just say thank you everyone for coming this evening. As of this moment, we have not had any requests for the Planning and Zoning Committee. So it is unlikely there will be a Planning and Zoning meeting this month. If there is, it will be next Wednesday, and an agenda will be sent out later this week. Otherwise, we are here for you, and we appreciate your time and your commitment to your community this evening. Thank you very much. I declare this meeting over, 9 p.m.